Thank you, everybody. We'll get right back into it. I believe we do have four. We may have 5 commissioners here. We have a quorum, so we're going to go ahead and jump right back into it. We are now on item number 14, I believe. Mr. County Administrator, introduce the item, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, this item is a status report. It's an update that seeks board authorization for myself to finalize the proposed restructuring of the CRA as approved by this board at your last meeting, but without the additional changes to the ongoing tourism development cultural funding allocation process approved by a separate motion at that time to be considered as part of the negotiations with the city. We explained that in the item that commissioners on the CRA received an update on that process at their last meeting. With that, as I noted, the other elements of the proposed agreement were approved by this board at your last meeting and by the City Commission at their last meeting. So upon your approval of this item tonight, we will finalize this agreement, which I should note will be back before you in April, ready to execute. I know the tenets of the agreement are fresh in your minds from the last meeting. However, we're happy to answer any questions that you might have on that. I have no speaker cards on this item.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. County Administrator. Commissioner Proctor, the floor is yours, sir.
Staff recommendation options 1 and 2.
Staff recommendation been moved by Commissioner Proctor. I take it by his suggestion. Commissioner Deloge would like to second that motion. Is there any more speakers on the item? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion on the floor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Commissioner Dozier out of chambers. We'll move now to item number 17.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 17, as requested by the board, the item considers providing $10,000 for Leon County to be a presenting sponsor for the 2018 Over the Edge Tallahassee fundraising event. This is not a budgeted expenditure. However, should the board wish to fund this item, adequate funding is available from contingency. I have no speakers on this item.
I have Commissioner Proctor in queue to speak. Commissioner Proctor, the floor is yours, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that I see the good name of the Kearney Center here, and there are other networks, but I'm familiar with their great work, and I move the request of $10,000.
That would be staff recommendation? No, it's board direction, so that would be option 1. Option 1 has been moved by Commissioner Proctor, seconded by Commissioner Deloge. Commissioner Daly, you have that look on your face.
We need 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Options 1 and 2 has been moved by Commissioner Proctor, seconded by Commissioner Deloge. Commissioner Daly, you got anything? We're good? Okay. We're good? All right. Motion on the floor is for... I knew it.
Yeah, I thought that last year when the request was made, it was just a one-off. Like they needed help getting off the ground, but this wasn't going to be coming back for recurring year.
I kind of thought the same. Mr. Administrator, could you refresh our memories on that?
No, well, I don't recall if they stated explicitly that it was a one-time request, but it was we also did not anticipate this request again this year.
Okay.
I think the life dynamics are the same, and there's been no relief, and I think the dynamics which they faced last year are constant this year.
Commissioner Lilly?
Yeah, I would make a substitute motion to not approve that $10,000. There are so many nonprofits and so many good things going on in this community all the time. I just don't understand why this is a special request for this particular group of organizations for this Over the Edge. I mean, it's an interesting approach to fundraising, but there's so many throughout the community. I just don't see how this is set aside as a special function. I agree the needs are good, they are in so many of them, but I would vote against this $10,000 for this particular function.
Second.
Motion been made by Commissioner Lindley. Substitute motion been made by Commissioner Lindley, seconded by Commissioner Daly.
I just don't see it.
Is there any more speakers on the item? Commissioner Dozier?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize for walking in late. I was on the phone. and for missing some of the early comments. Apologize. I understand Commissioner Lindley, to your point, that we get asked a lot for larger donations for presenting sponsorships, having gone over the edge last year. I do think this was a good group that raised awareness, and they benefit a lot of different groups. Again, I understand we're asked to do a lot of different things. I guess I just wanted to ask the question, 10,000 presenting sponsor may not be where we want to be, but I wonder, I think there is a sponsorship level for an, I'm sorry?
Lesser sponsor.
You're absolutely right.
For an individual or a group of individuals who may want to go over the edge and raise money. It might be $1,000 per participant that they write or raise. I wonder if we would consider doing something smaller if we want to make a contribution but not be a presenting sponsor. Again, I understand the concerns. I just want to ask what the will of the board might be if we modified this a little bit. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Proctor?
Mr. Chairman, I just remind the board that I can't remember the size of the gift that we gave to the Red Hills. And, just I think that's the standard, and I think that what was our gift, Mr. Rosenwag, to Red Hills this year?
6 figures, Commissioner.
Okay, and I just think if we give the horses 6 figures, we could give people human need at least a tenth of that amount. So that's why I was comfortable, because I gauge in part what we're capable of doing to what we do for Red Hills, and to me this is red blood and of human beings, and so I'm very comfortable with the 10,000.
Thank you, sir. I had no more speakers. Any more commissioners want to speak? If not, we'll move to a vote. See, go ahead, Commissioner Deloche.
I think Commissioner Dozier makes a good point. We both did this last year. It's not a lot. I mean, it's a lot of money anyway. Look at it. This, with all the conversation we've had about criminal justice and recidivism, this is exactly the type of things that they're doing. We raised. I mean, beyond writing a check to do this last year, I know we raised a significant amount of money. I don't know the exact number, but I know I wrote a check as part of the process outside of this. But I would be supportive in any amount we decide to participate in, if there's any. So,
all right, just real quick, I want the commissioners to understand that if the substitute motion does pass, we will not be funding this event at all, and so any consideration of lower funding wouldn't even be a consideration if the substitute motion passed. Commissioner Daly?
I can support a lower funding amount, maybe the helmet level at $2,500. My point is that if the organization is interested in coming back year after year after year, that should be part of our budget process. And I don't have a problem with that, but let's properly put it in the budget, so we should allow the organizations to know that our budget cycle is coming up when we do so. So I would, where are we, Mr. Chairman?
You got substitute motion?
Substitute motion.
To not fund.
For the helmet sponsor of $2,500 and to continuously encourage Commissioner Deloge to write the check outside of the process to support this.
Well, wait, we have a substitute motion.
Over the edge.
We have a substitute motion on the floor to not fund. So either we would need to rescind the substitute motion, or we would need to rescind the original motion.
I'll rescind the substitute in deference to a smaller amount.
Commissioner Daly, what would be a substitute?
The helmet level, I think, would be appropriate.
2,500?
2,500.
So Commissioner Daly makes a substitute motion that we entertain 2,500 level. That'd be seconded by Commissioner Lindley.
Yeah.
Seconded by Commissioner Lindley. Any more comment? Commissioner Dozier?
Really quick, I know I want to thank you all. I mean, to Commissioner Deloge's point, this is a critical group of nonprofits, and the money did go directly into it. So it is a big production. It is a little unusual, but I think a small contribution would be good. But Commissioner Daly, I mean, if we wanted to amend this and say any future requests should be made as part of the budget process, I would be open to that as well. I think that's a pretty critical point.
I just don't really, I don't want to see the contingency fund just sort of be a grab bag for whoever kind of thinks about using it. In that way, we need a more methodical approach. So I'm happier with a smaller amount.
And Commissioner Lindley, I'm right with you. We've done that, reined in spending a lot and not had these one-offs. Thank you.
All right, so I need two things. Actually, I'm going to ask for two things. I'm going to get them. The first thing is I need a budget amendment to go as a part of Commissioner Daly's substitute motion for the amount of $2,500. The second thing I'm going to ask is that the maker of the original motion rescind their motion since it looks like the substitute is going to pass. Is that okay? Rescind it? Thank you, sir. So motion on the floor, the only motion on the floor is for $2,500 helmet level sponsor, and with a budget amendment reflecting that amount, made by Commissioner Daly, seconded by Commissioner Lindley. All those in favor of the motion on the floor indicate by saying aye. Are any opposed? Motion carries out opposition. That's great. We'll move on now to Commissioner discussion time. Good job, Commissioners. I had us out of here by 8:30, 9 o'clock. Mr. Attorney.
Mr. Chairman, I only have one item. Mr. Mustin, who represents the Holy Comforter folks, asked me to read into the record the announcement of the TEFRA hearing. So the owner of the facility being improved is Holy Comforter Episcopal Church. The project name is Performing Arts and Cafeteria Building Expansion. The location is at 2001 Fleischman Road in Tallahassee, Florida. The principal amount of the tax-exempt bonds will be not exceeding $6 million, and the TEFRA hearing will be held on April 10 at 6 o'clock p.m. There's no action necessary by the board. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator.
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Sure. I want to ask on this time, could you give us an update of where we are with the opioid RFP? Is there any movement, or where are we status on that?
It's drafted and it's awaiting being issued. So it's.
Is it a timeline?
I want to have something on your agenda by the beginning of May.
So we will get that first before it goes on the street. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Mr. Administrator?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. I got two things real quick. I'll go ahead and get them out of the way. I need a Public Works. I have a request for a proclamation for Public Works Week. Somebody make that motion for me?
Second.
Any objection? Seeing no objection, we'll show it as approved. Also, I have a proclamation declaring May as Bike Month in Leon County.
Motion.
Second.
Any objection? Motion carries out objection. I'll now go to Commissioner Lindley.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The one thing I am doing tonight is rescinding, I guess, a little bit. At the last meeting, I asked our board to consider taking to a public hearing for consideration on the ballot in this fall, changing our constitutional offices to nonpartisan positions. I've since talked to a lot of people, heard from a lot of people, including about the legal complications that would almost certainly come our way. And so I just wanted to ask the board's position. I would like to withdraw that request to move that to a public hearing and just to keep things as they are.
Mr. Attorney, there's a motion to withdraw. We're in proper stance to do that. All you need is a second.
Second.
Technically, it'd be a motion to rescind.
Rescind.
Okay.
All right, we are in
Motion
proper
to rescind.
fashion to do that.
Whatever-
Motion
whatever.
made to rescind by Commissioner
Lindley.
Lindley, seconded by Commissioner Dozier. All right, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the floor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries without objection. Commissioner Lindley?
Go home. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Commissioner Dozier, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good meeting today. I'm also amazed that we're done at 10 till 7. Appreciate all the staff work, but this was a few big issues and good discussion, so
what I
thank you
do.
all. That's what you do?
That's what I do.
I thought that's what we all do.
I get you out of here.
Good to know.
I get you in, I get you out.
All right, well, with that, I do have one proclamation request to be presented off-site this Thursday, recognizing the 40th anniversary of Save the Old Capitol Night, and it'll be on March 30th.
Motion made by Commissioner Dozier, seconded by Commissioner Daly. Any objection? Seeing none, we'll show it as approved. Commissioner Dozier?
Thank you. The only other issue I wanted to bring up was something that was discussed at the CRA meeting last week. I talked to the county administrator about it in briefing, and not necessarily time sensitive. I don't want to mix this up in the budget, so I'm thinking about the fall. But we had a number of speakers come to the CRA meeting talking about two issues. One, archaeology assessment of the archaeology for sites downtown during redevelopment, particularly looking at Cascades and the North American properties. But also in Frenchtown, there's a program for demolishing old buildings and doing some historic assessment of those buildings and maybe salvage of some of the materials. Some communities have a archaeologist or someone who does that. I'm not sure if we're at that point within planning or something else. But I think this is a really interesting issue, and it's something we're going to run into a lot more. We don't have many buildings that go below ground. In fact, the county administrator mentioned that the courthouse probably has the most stories at 4 below ground. But we're about to see Washington Square right behind us, dig in. We have a number of others coming on. So the possibility of getting into artifacts that are significant importance. I was a kid when Mad Dog discovered the DeSoto site and had to stop construction. And really, you know, that's always stuck with me. We are in that area. That's only one of 2 DeSoto sites known in the whole country. So I think it's probably timely to get ahead of this issue, educate ourselves about what other communities do, what we might or might not want to do. It's mostly going to happen in the city limits and within downtown, but I would like to ask for an agenda item just to explore how we might help developers, help others assess the archaeological significance or the historic significance of buildings as we do urban infill in our community.
Is there a second to that motion? Motion seconded. Any objection to that motion? So the agenda item is accepted.
Thank
Commissioner Dozier?
That is it. I hope everyone has a great week. And happy Easter.
Commissioner Proctor?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to ask staff to investigate and get an autopsy report on the lake, on the bike trail, South Adams, the little lake over there, behind, bounded by Johnson's Auto, behind the post office, behind school board member Maggie Lewis Butler's home in the University Park community. There's not a green, vegetative anything there. And for years and years, it was a good look. It's all brown water. And I'd like to ask for a toxicology report or something on that lake and what killed it. Secondly, I'd like...
I'm sorry, Commissioner Proctor. Mr. Turner, we don't need a motion or a second for that, do we? Do we? We do? That's a motion. There's a second to it. Any objections? Seeing none, short accepted. Ms. Voss.
And we could, the board can hear back what happened. Secondly, Chairman, congratulations. You moved about 40, 50 some speakers tonight, and we're going home on a decent time. We appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
A request for staff to investigate and to move on lights for Crawfordville Road between the city limits sign up to Capitol Circle, right there at Publix. And when you look at going east on Capitol Circle, there are no lights in front of Publix and in front of the People's Car Dealer. And if you make you head west and make a right turn, there are no lights leading to the intersection. And I hope that, with the exception of commercial lights, that we could please get some overhead street lights in that area. Is that motion needed?
Mr. Attorney, do we need a motion for that?
Yeah, if you want it brought back as an agenda item where staff needs to do that, I mean, in an investigation, I'm going to guess it's FDOT who would be responsible there. But the answer is yeah, it needs a motion.
Motion been made by Commissioner Proctor, seconded by Commissioner Jackson. Any objection to the motion on the floor? Seeing, is the agenda item? Yes, ma'am. Agenda item is a motion on the floor. Any objection? Seeing none, we show the accepted. Commissioner Proctor.
Chairman, I ask for a resolution to honor the Tallahassee Community College National Championship basketball team. And when is our next meeting? What's the date on the next meeting? When is our next meeting?
April 10th.
April 10th.
Before school is out, and hopefully we can honor the Lady War Eagles. And then finally, a shout out and kudos to Mr. Andy Johnson. At the NACO legislative meeting, our meetings went like clockwork. The ease with which we were facilitated before different agencies of the federal government, the smooth rapport that Mr. Johnson had with our federal lobbyists, and the overall demeanor, tenor, tone of that experience was really, really sweet and great, memorable. And I chalk it up as it's interesting how oftentimes, Mr. Chairman, we fail to realize the level at which we interact, engage, and do things. And you meet a lot of commissioners who their program is not as smooth as ours, not as organized as ours, no focus, no mission as ours. But our staff always leads us, and we're always on a schedule. We know what we're going to do. The agencies are looking for us. They've done their homework. They have our medical charts before them, and they know exactly when our last checkup was. They know our information, and I appreciate that. And I know that Washington is a huge place, a lot of folk, but we always are made to feel that we're not just a number, but when we go in front of the agencies, they know our names, they know who we are. So I really appreciate Andy, and I want for the county administrator and for everyone to know how much I appreciated that. Mr. Chairman, happy Easter, Holy Week to all, Good Friday, and all of those things, and look forward to seeing you all. Hope you have a wonderful Easter.
Thank you, sir. I have Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We ranged Commissioner Deloge from third grade reading to early interventions. We talked about after-school programs and weapons. I thought that I was in a school advisory council meeting at one point. But I appreciate the issues that we discuss and how they impact our community, and how, though we don't always agree, that we have the opportunity to share those viewpoints and engage the public in the way that we did tonight. So I am honored to serve with my fellow commissioners and humbled by the experience. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Daly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was a great night, and as I said in the paper, and I said again in an interview with the news just a second ago, it is an honor and privilege to serve with all six of you. And even if we don't agree, which we shouldn't, that's how democracy works, I thoroughly enjoy serving with you. I only have one thing. I'm a little sad to announce that today is my aide, Andy Harrison's last meeting with me. After 5 years, if you recall, I stole him from Bank of America, and Bank of America is stealing him back, Commissioner Proctor. He has gotten an incredible opportunity to return to the private sector. Andy, you have been absolutely amazing to work with. As a third-generation Leon County, and you know this county better than most, and we've had a lot of fun, gotten a lot done, and I'm going to miss you. You're going to be.
Well, I just want to, Andy, I got a loan application. I need to come see you. It's good to know a banker.
But Andy, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
Anything else? We're going to have to see if Commissioner Daly's beating his employees. There's a lot of turnover.
Have you noticed that?
Investigation.
Commissioner Deloge.
Shout out to my alma mater, Florida State. I thought Coach Hamilton and Stu Samurai, both cases did unbelievably well this season. I mean, and I think exceeded a lot of people's expectations. And I think when people started smelling Final Four, we hadn't been to that level in a long time. And I just wanted to give him a shout out, and I wore my FSU tie.
All right.
So anyway, but other than that, appreciate the ability to have a conversation like that at the end of the day and get along afterwards. It means a lot. The civility is something that I think is not lost on the community, and I don't think it comes easy, and I think the reality is it makes us a better board. So anyway, appreciate that.
Commissioner Proctor?
I want to give a salute to Commissioner Lindley. She said that after her thoughts from the last meeting, that she had the courage and the wherewithal to listen, to balance the concerns that were expressed to her. And I think that sometimes hearing people, it takes courage when you put your credit card out there and I'm going forward. And sometimes just say, whoa, takes courage. And it was very reflective, and I respect and say to you that I heard many of the same voices. So that you were able to do that, I salute that. Thank you very much.
Just one more thing from me. Just want to say rest in peace to our NAACP president that passed, our local NAACP president passed. Also wanted to just make mention that we got through 43 speakers tonight, and I joked and said this is what I do, but there's no way we get through 43 speakers and get out of here at 7 o'clock if this board is in tune with what the community wants. And so I just wanted to say it's an honor and a privilege to chair and serve with each and every one of you, and there's no way we can do what we do if we don't work together the way we work together. Look forward to continuing to do that this year. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.